What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review, and this time we're taking a look at the first ever MCU holiday special in Werewolf by Night, starring Janelle Garcia Bernal as Jack Russell and Laura Donnelly as Elsa Bloodstone. So the whole premise of this presentation is as follows: this group of monster hunters are being gathered by Urnissa Bloodstone, who is the widow of famed monster hunter Ulysses Bloodstone. They've all gathered to Bloodstone Manor in order to compete for this ancient relic and to fight a dangerous monster while in the process. So that's the overall basic premise of this short special. So overall, how do I think about it? I thought Werewolf by Night was actually not that bad. I thought this was pretty good. I think Michael Giacchino, who directed this film, did a really good job at paying a loving homage to classic Universal monster movies. This movie wears its influence on its sleeve, and it's not shy about it. The opening titles is very reminiscent of old Universal monster movies like The Wolfman and Werewolf of London. Of course, the movie is called Werewolf by Night, so of course the primary influence is going to be werewolf movies, whatever. But it just has that campy, gothic, Universal monster movies aesthetic and feel to it, and I appreciate that because I'm a fan of the classic Universal monster movies. I love those movies. I think even the bad ones, I enjoy the Universal monster movies, and it's refreshing to see Marvel, and I'm sorry, it's refreshing to see the MCU and Disney, tackle the more darker side of Marvel comics by going into the Marvel monsters like the Wolfman and things like that. And this short did that. For the most part, I thought it handled it relatively well. This doesn't have the typical, forced Marvel humor. It actually has humor and dialogue that you would find in a Universal monster movie. The Universal monster movies were known for having groundbreaking dialogue and things like that. Like, it was overly theatrical and dramatic dialogue that can be a little cheesy at times. And I thought this special had some of that. But at the same time, I also thought that the dialogue in this show had a little bit more refinedness to it. Yeah, you do get some of that Marvel humor that's sprinkled all throughout, but luckily they toned it down, because I think too much of it would have really took away from the overall aesthetic of what this is trying to be. This special is trying to be like a superhero horror movie, and for the most part, it works. I thought Giacchino, from a directing standpoint, did a great job at creating a suspenseful atmosphere. He did a good job at creating a gothic horror-like atmosphere. Bloodstone Manor looks pretty cool. This whole maze that the hunters have to go into in order to find this ancient relic and monster foe was really well done and looked really, really good. And the look, the overall look and the black and white aesthetic adds a lot of nuance and just homage to the classic Universal monster movies. So I enjoyed that. I like that. Directing wise, I thought Giacchino did a fine job. In terms of the cast, I thought Bernal as Jack Russell, aka the Werewolf by Night, actually was not that bad in the lead role. I've never really seen this guy in anything aside from this, and I think that he could hold an entire movie on his own, and he impressed me. He was decent as Jack Russell. I like the chemistry that he had with Laura Donnelly, Elsa Bloodstone. To me, I didn't feel like she overshadowed Jack in a lot of in this movie. I think there were certain scenes where I think Jack should have had more of a focus on him, but again, I think a lot of that has to do with the 52-minute runtime and the special trying to pretty much present these two as the main characters. So they're trying to unload as much as they can. I think they kept Jack a little bit too much of a mystery, and we got more of Elsa's backstory than Jack's backstory. I would have switched that up. I would have made it more even. I would have expanded more on Jack's backstory since it's basically his present. It's his movie, his story, so to speak. He should have gotten more expansion for his backstory and how he became afflicted with the curse of the wolf. And while at the same time, we can still do Elsa's stuff and her connection and everything like that. She's part of the Bloodstone name, but she does not want to be a monster hunter. She's kind of against it. But as the short progresses and the alliance with Jack goes forward, she kind of slowly starts to gradually accept it. So that was fine. from a story standpoint, it could have been handled a little bit differently. There are certain characters in the short that don't really get a whole lot of expansion, but they do get some moments to shine. In terms of how this movie handled its violence, not that bad. Actually, it was decent. The whole black and white aesthetic was able to make the filmmakers actually have a little bit of fun. Like, this movie can get gory in a lot of instances, especially when Jack turns into the werewolf at the end and he goes on a complete bloodfest. And there's actually this cool shot where he's taking on a bunch of guards and the blood keeps splattering on the camera, and the camera still slowly starts to zoom as the werewolf is just dispatching everyone. It's actually a cool aesthetic, and it reminded me a lot of like Robert Rodriguez movies on how he would always get like blood splattered on the camera because it got a little too real. So I liked all that stuff. Elsa, she also had entertaining moments here and there. She has a little fight scene with her stepmom, who pretty much renounces her because she teamed up with Jack, who was revealed to be a monster and a werewolf. And of course, she's against that, completely against that. So I like all that. I like that dynamic. I also like how this movie featured Man-Thing. That's right, Man-Thing, who is Marvel's version of Swamp Thing, appears in this movie, and Man-Thing is pretty cool. I liked Man-Thing. I actually like the friendship that this movie has with him and Jack. I'd like to see if these characters do come back, of which eventually they will, I'd like to see more of an expansion on Jack and Man-Thing. Hell, I would like to see a movie about how these two became afflicted with their curses and how they became friends. I think the special teases that they knew each other before their afflictions, but the movie also teases that Jack also has a habit of saving Man-Thing way more times than he should. So I actually wouldn't mind seeing a Werewolf by Night / Man-Thing team-up movie. That could be a lot of fun. I could actually enjoy that as like a superhero horror comedy type of way. That could be pretty interesting. But in terms of how Man-Thing's portrayed, I like it. He comes across as really, really cool. He has a lot of cool moments. And when the special actually transitions to color near the end, Man-Thing on screen, the work is not that bad. And it looks straight off the page. Like, Man-Thing looks pretty cool. I would definitely like to see more of it. So, yeah. Other than that, that's basically my thoughts on the Werewolf by Night Halloween special. I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. And I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe. And I'll check you back next time for more.